Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right in, taking a real deep dive into a very brief, but wow, a profoundly moving parable from the Angel Terra blog. It's called God and Nature. Now, at first glance, it reads like a simple story, but as we unpack it together, you're going to see it provides this absolutely fascinating framework for how we handle sudden crises, and really the balance between our spiritual intentions and our practical, boots-on-the-ground actions. Okay, let's dive into this. Right out of the gate, the text establishes a crystal clear spiritual premise. It's basically saying, hey, divine guidance, it isn't necessarily going to be a booming cinematic voice from the clouds. Instead, it literally comes to us in our everyday lives. It shows up in various, sometimes totally unexpected forms, just gently steering us toward what is ultimately good for us.
Which brings us to Section 1, Divine Signs in Nature.
The text right here makes a massive point. Nature informs you in its own way and actually tries to get you ready. Notice that intentional phrasing there. In this worldview, nature is definitely not just some passive, pretty backdrop to our lives. No, it acts as an active messenger. It kind of makes you wonder, right? Are we completely missing these subtle alerts right outside our own windows simply because we just aren't paying attention? And this brilliantly illustrates the real crux of human agency in this whole framework. Now it's up to you what steps you take. The universe might literally be flashing a neon sign at you, but the reaction, that is entirely on our shoulders. So take a second and think about that in your own life. When you're suddenly faced with an unexpected moment of crisis, do you step up and take action, or do you kind of just freeze up? Moving right along to Section 2, the test of the bird. So let's see how this actually unfolds in the story. Step 1, a man sees an injured, dying bird right there on his window. Step 2, he's confused, completely doesn't know what to do, and so he just leaves. Step 3, the bird dies. It is a very stark, very sobering progression. Look, the man wasn't malicious at all. He just lacked knowledge and he froze. But the outcome? It's a cold, unchangeable reality that stems directly from that paralysis of inaction.
This sets up Section 3 nicely, illness and inaction.
After some time, the text tells us the man had fallen ill and was not getting proper advice from any doctor. Wow, talk about a complete role reversal. He is now placed in the exact same incredibly vulnerable position that the bird was once in. He's suffering, he's totally confused, and he's facing a complete lack of help or answers from medical experts. He is entirely helpless. Which leads us right into Section 4, the power of prayer. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast. You see, both the man and his friend shared the exact same initial reaction to that dying bird. Total confusion. But notice the massive divergence in the choices they made. The man simply walked away. The friend, however, despite also lacking any sort of veterinary knowledge, chose to pray. He offered up a genuine spiritual intention when a physical solution just wasn't apparent to him. So the crucial point is this beautiful, vital link the source text makes right here. It says, the same person who prayed was of help to that man when he was ill. You see what happened? The friend's seemingly tiny act of compassionate intention for a bird circled all the way back around when it was needed the absolute most. It became the coincidental yet vital salvation for the man during his own mysterious illness. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, the ultimate lesson learned. The lesson they both learned wasn't just, to pray harder next time. Actually, scratch that. It was to pair that spiritual intention with immediate, highly practical action, like literally calling the animal clinic for help. That dual takeaway is exactly what makes this material so rewarding. It takes this profound philosophical awakening about interconnectedness and it translates it directly into a highly actionable, everyday directive for whenever we encounter suffering. And that brings us to the core mission of Angel Terra, offering stories that will help you overcome your own challenges in life. This whole short parable, it's really just designed as a mirror for us. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to deeply consider. When nature inevitably places an injured bird in your path, whether that's a literal animal or, a friend in need, how will you respond? Will you walk away in confusion, or will you find a way to step up and help? Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with us today, and keep on learning.